Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim Spencer along with Rik Schmidt. You're listening to the Rural Survival Show. Today is Thursday, the 15th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2022. Rik and I got several things to talk about today. And because we only have a limited amount of time on Zoom, we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's go, Rik.
Well, good morning, everybody. Let's speak briefly about economic, geopolitical issues in Europe and not really in China. The Chinese real estate collapse continues, but in Europe, it's a little more interesting. And you might ask yourself, well, I just don't care. What does that got to do with me? Well, bear in mind that, bear in mind that our geopolitical, our blueprint for governing human beings is basically mirror image of the European model, most particularly the English model.
Yeah.
We've got Germany right on the brink of a collapse, and they're admitting it.
Yes.
England, interestingly, just defaulted on $500 billion pounds, £500 billion of debt. They defaulted on that.
I wasn't aware of that. What debt was it, Rik?
Maybe probably bonds.
Oh, okay.
It did not specify, but it would have to be. I would think. I mean, I could be wrong, but it would almost have to be government bonds. We're starting to see cracks in the foundation that are beginning to crack the drywall now.
Yes.
And that's all very interesting. And of course, the day before yesterday, some information came out, some economic information here in the United States, which absolutely tanked the market. It was off over 1,300 points, with more to come, of course. And I say, of course, because it seems that there are everything gets charted,
Oh yeah.
So
what I'm looking at right now.
There's a chart out there that apparently follows so-called smart money, and this would be money that is professionally invested by professionals who supposedly got rich doing this. And I think if I understand what I've seen right now, they have the largest bet. They have purchased put.
Oh yeah.
The largest bet in 22 years, I think it was, that the stock market is going to crumble.
I thought it was
so they're
largest
betting.
Bet
they're
ever.
betting on.
I thought it was largest one ever.
If you're 21, I
might have misread it. I could have misread it.
Well, maybe you're 20 years old.
Oh God! Please.
It would be.
Pretty please.
Yeah, really. Yeah, no, you don't ever want to go back. Not
really.
So we have that issue, and the certain individuals with J.P. Morgan Chase and who else? Goldman are warning of a liquidity crisis, and as I said earlier. As I said during the last show, Goldman Sachs was set to sell through automatic selling with their algorithmic selling machines. They They have machines, computers that do these things. They were going to get rid of, I think it was 20.7 billion in equities this week if it was a flat tape. Okay. If a down tape, and I would certainly think Tuesday would qualify as a down
I
tape.
would say so.
That was one of the largest collapses in years. So if that happened, I believe they were prepared to liquidate as many as 50 billion. Now, if anybody liquidates $50 billion in equities, that's going to cause a ripple in the pond. And I would think you would see more interesting work out of the stock market. And the stock market's essentially flat again today, just like it was yesterday.
Well,
We have
the desk that doesn't buy, that the Fed has, the one that doesn't buy
Yeah.
anything.
Sure.
And I got a feel in the Exchange Stabilization Fund, we're probably both working overtime to cover that $50 billion sell.
Yesterday and probably today, and until the bleeding stops. The only thing about that is, and I don't even know why I bother to mention this, that every time they add money, fraudulent money to the system, every time they race in and buy equities that nobody really wants, they are further inflating the bubble that will pop. And when it does, it's going to blow your wig off. So, there is that. It's talked to the local silver people yesterday, and there are no 1 ounce rounds around here. They have 10-ounce bars if you like that kind of thing. It wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, what 10 times 10 times 25, you're talking 250. That's not a real bad thing.
No.
Not as tradable as a 1 ounce round if you're looking for that kind of thing. But they said they were looking to get some 1 ounce rounds next week, and I said, well, what about the 90% silver? In other words, the U.S. coins from 1964 and before. And he said, we can't keep that stuff here. He says it comes in and leaves like immediately. He said, we cannot keep our hands on 90%. So I found that to be very, very interesting. 90%, of course, is very tradable because it comes in denominations. You got dimes, not nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars.
Unless they're war nickels, Rick. If they're war nickels, then they're 40% silver.
Well, yeah, they are. And I guess and they'll sell you that. I mean, they have a line item in the website for 40% 40% nickels. And if you want, I mean, I suppose there would be a market for that at some point. But so what did he tell me?
The general public would not know what a 1942 through 46 war nickel is, or 45, I mean.
Well, they might learn within a year of a collapse. They might figure it out. Right now, 90% is trading at just under $20 face. So that puts a dime at a little under $2. So I would think if you're looking to trade something and you've got some of these dimes, I would think that would work for you.
Oh yeah,
$2, $2. So there's that. Okay, so there was this situation I mentioned previously about some sort of vermin eating my beets and my carrots, And I think I mentioned, if I didn't, I'm going to do it now, is I replanted. I know I
Yeah,
mentioned that.
yeah.
Well, they didn't even wait this time for the beets. They just started eating the plants. So I put out corn muffin mix 50-50 with baking soda, and the problem apparently is stopped. So
Good.
that was nice. Yeah. What I did was I took a little plastic bucket with a lid. You can get them at Lowe's, or I don't know, I guess if you
Yeah.
eat ice cream. Um, and I cut a mouse hole in the side of the bucket, and in the bucket put my mixture, put the lid on, flipped it upside down so that it's essentially rainproof. It doesn't rain there. So my mixture kind of remains dry.
Right.
And that seemed to work pretty well. I have
Good.
another flat of beets going right now, and we'll get that taken care of. We're getting the last of the pepperoncinis out of the garden. Although I got to tell you, once again, I got more pepperoncinis than I can possibly use. Um, the shelf that we keep them on in the refrigerator is glass, and I'm really beginning to worry. However, I don't know if this will show up
It's showing up
at
great,
all.
Rick.
Um,
Showing up
the
great.
what's it? Yeah, you have in here thyme, basil, bay leaves. Now, pepperoncini has no heat,
Right.
so in here is a jalapeno split down the middle, and that makes these medium. These are from 8-1,
Right.
um, and so they're about 6 weeks old, and they are excellent. Here's something I bet most people don't know, is that I use red onion in here just for the fun of it. And what happens
Cool.
is the dye from the red onion comes out
Yeah.
and starts tinting the water pink, or well, it's not water, it's brine. That's pretty cool. But the thing is, you can, as I said before, you can spice these in any way you want. I use for my purposes caraway seeds, coriander, some fresh herbs, because I've got them in the garden right there, and these are going to make excellent gifts. Here's something else I've talked about on the radio show, but I've never shown. Now, this is something that most people probably don't know. I have been turning the eggplants. Not well. We did uh, charcoal broil a couple of these, and they were
Right.
excellent. But mostly I turn these into escabeche, which would be these things cut into shoestrings, like shoestring potatoes,
Right.
cut into shoestrings, and spiced with all kinds of spices. Many of the ones I'm using in the peppers. Plus, we use a lot of oregano, a lot of fresh oregano, and a lot of bay leaf, and smoked paprika to give them a little bit of smokiness, and a fair amount of cayenne, so that it's pretty spicy. And then you fill that jar up with extra virgin olive oil. But here's what I kind of wanted to show you. This is kind of interesting. Most people have never seen this. Okay, this is a male. This is not. So
Understood.
when they say buy dots, don't buy slots, um, this they taste the same, but
Yeah.
the female is going to have a whole lot more seeds. So if somebody was looking to save these seeds, you could use either one, but this one's going to have probably 3 times the amount of seeds. Um, the other thing is, you cannot save seeds from this plant. You will have to wait until these things are damn near rotten. They will turn like mustard yellow, not
Right.
not not French's mustard, but the natural mustard, kind of a grayish, gray green,
Right.
uh, and and that is when this plant right now is immature, and they're great for eating, but the seeds are not viable here. So
Right.
once this plant basically turns to something you don't want to eat, that's when you can save the seeds. The way the seeds are saved is you'll cut this into rings, into slices, and take a bucket of water and hold the slice in the water and squeeze it like you would do a sponge. Just keep doing this. All the seeds will come out, when almost all, and they will fall to the bottom of the bucket.
Right.
And at that point, you can pour off the water, you can dry the seeds, and that's how you save eggplant seeds. I can promise you that this one eggplant has enough seeds for anybody's garden. There is probably 1,000, between 500 and 1,000 seeds in here. So the interesting situation there. I didn't bring up any lanterns, but next week we'll talk about. Uh, so we'll talk about lanterns and grid down and rolling blackouts and that kind of thing. California, of course, is having third world rolling blackouts.
Right.
They got the heat wave thing going on, the water shortage.
Yeah.
It's the land of milk and honey, you know.
Well, you gotta love the Californians. First, they make
Yeah.
gasoline, diesel power vehicles illegal. You got to
Right.
get an electric car, and now you're not allowed to charge the electric car.
All true. And suddenly this week there are billboards popping up
I saw
all over the
those.
place telling people not to move to Texas because they said the Texas dream died with the Uvalde school shooting. Well, in the first place, that school shooting was probably their work anyway. That's, of course,
Right.
you could say that's a conspiracy theory, but as far as I'm concerned, so is our government and our money and every
Now,
other
careful,
aspect.
careful.
Yeah, I know. We're going to get kicked out.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
we don't
no.
want.
I'm worried about my Mayorkas arresting us. Remember, anybody
Oh,
that doubts the government
oh
is a
yeah.
potential terrorist,
Oh no.
according to Alejandro.
Well, no. I'm as patriotic here as the next guy. I'm gonna heat my house by burning useless paper dollars. I'll just use $1 bills so that I don't have to. It'll take too much. It'll take way too much money to heat with tens. Anyway, back to the subject. I think Berman coffee traders. I like
Yeah.
these people because if you call them on the phone, they will return your phone call. And I have purchased from them now. Remember that I roast my own coffee, and so you have to start with green beans, which I showed you a couple shows ago. I have tried any number of coffees, and while I guess you could say I'm a coffee snob, and I guess that could be true. Under any circumstances, as I check out at the Home Depot contractor counter, I will take their free coffee, and it's something like coffee, but
Yeah.
it's better than nothing at all. So my point here would be is I have tried any number of their beans, and they just don't really thrill me. I am stuck on the Guatemalan beans, and that there too. I know I've mentioned this, but the bean that I like the best, and I would say if you're going to try this, I would probably try to encourage you to begin with Guatemalan beans that are naturally processed.
Oh, yeah.
And to recap in seconds, that's where they dry the bean with the fruit covering on. So it's a bean. It's not a bean. It's a small fruit, and it's got a thin, like a fruit-like covering. That covering will impart flavor to the bean, so that when you roast it, you get a much more fragrant bean and a wider flavor profile You can do a lot more with it. You can still roast it dark if that's what you want to do. It's very versatile in that way, but you can also go light and medium and get different flavors.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like the soda machine at McDonald's where you have choices. You can have 7 Up or Coke or Sprite or whatever else you get, sweet tea. You can do that with the Guatemalan bean.
Right.
And I recommend that. I recommend that.
I'll tell you, some of the best coffee I ever had was in Guatemala. It really was back in the late 70s. You
Yep.
knew that coffee hadn't been roasted more than 4 hours.
Right, and that makes a difference. Typically, we'll roast it one evening and use it the next morning. I really do need a bigger roaster. Um, the one more thing, and then I'll get out of your way.
Oh, you're
And if I
not in my
mentioned this
way.
before,
A
well,
couple of things I wanted to
really,
talk about, but if you gotta get going,
give me a second. Well, well, my list of things to do is endless. So the our present situation is causing a certain amount of protectionism, which really got legs with Trump, where we were kind of slowing down export and even import of certain things, including oil. We were actually energy independent there at that
yes,
point, but our beloved president, he fixed that. Now we're dependent on Russia, uh, and so that's not going well. But with respect to inflation, and I may have mentioned this, so I'll do this quickly. You have the inflation situation is driven by supply and demand, and the government is pretending that they're going to, which I trust implicitly, that they're going to do something about inflation. And it wouldn't surprise me if they actually go 1 full point interest up this
yeah,
month, at the very least 3/4 of a point. But what happens is, because of the supply line problems that we've been having because of the cerveza sickness, we have fewer goods and way too much money because somebody that I trust is printing and using way too much of it, and it's backed by nothing. And so now you've got vast amounts of cash chasing not so much stuff. And the way they're going to fix this problem is because they're going to keep printing money, and demand is going to remain stable. I mean, until people start dying in large quantities, demand will remain unchanged. What they've got to do is they have to destroy demand. So the way they're going to destroy the way they're going to destroy demand is by having prices go so freaking high that you just plain give up,
right.
and that will bring the prices back down.
Or,
In the meantime.
Rick, it will destroy and bankrupt so much industry
Oh
that
yeah,
they
it's going to do
accomplish
that.
their goal and totally collapse the system. It's a win-win for
Well,
them. Now, until they
right.
start paying 0% instead of 2.5% on overnight repos, they're not going to fix the problem.
They're not.
Just a continuous loop until they quit feeding the banks.
Yeah.
It's not
They're
going to
not
happen.
trying to fix this. No, they're not trying to fix this problem. This problem is something that they made. It's their little Frankenstein monster.
Right.
And so what this will cause is what's called a doom feedback loop, and it's going to spiral very quickly, and it could really take place in just a matter of a couple weeks,
Or less.
however, or less.
It could happen this month, Rick. Very
Oh
easily. It could
yes.
happen this month.
Certain people think it might. Certainly by the holidays, more people think before the holidays. The other thing I wanted to mention, I guess, and once again, I talk to people I can never quite remember who I said what to. But when you do get at the end of this situation, they will save you with the central bank digital currency. But they will also almost certainly not let you buy precious metals with their money, because that's their money that they're letting you use. And if you head on down to the precious metals dealership, I don't think your credit card is going to work there, and it's sure as hell not going to let you buy Bitcoin. You can just forget about that.
I got a feeling you could
The
forget about buying guns and ammo with it too.
So you saw where they're contacting the credit card companies and
Yes.
asking them to set up their credit cards so they won't work for firearms or ammunition.
Right. And debit cards won't work either. Remember, it was all of MasterCard, all of Visa, not just the credit
Yeah.
cards. So if you've got a Visa debit card and you want to buy a gun with it, you're out of luck. You got to go get cash.
Yeah, well, yeah, and bear in mind, as they go to the CBDC, that is chapter one of the cashless system. There,
Right.
at some point, there's not going to be cash, so you'll have to figure out, how you're going to deal with that. Now, I would imagine gun dealers, being who they are, would probably trade you silver.
Oh yeah, I know for a fact they
for
will.
Yeah, I would think that would be something they would be interested in. So
This one right
anyway,
here, that was
it says,
silver.
okay, all right.
That's why I said
Well,
I know they will.
Well, all right. I've exhausted. This is a call from the hospital healthcare system, and they desperately want to come to my house. They're not happy with the fact that I have regular visits, like twice a year with my doctor, just checkups. That's not good enough. They want to come to my house. They specifically want to come and look at me here at my house. Now,
Tell them get a warrant.
usually when I go to the doctor, I take my corpus delicti with me, because I figure that's what they want to look at.
Right.
What is the difference between looking at me at the doctor's office and looking at me at my house?
Because they can bill your insurance 250 more.
I don't know. What I heard was not that. What I heard was that it's your house they want to see, and they want to see if they see anything interesting that they might like to report. But we're not going to
get a
do that.
warrant.
Yeah, get a get a warrant. Yeah.
That's
So
what I
anyway,
do.
that would exhaust my my list of conspiratorial nonsense to talk about.
Oh.
Did you said a couple things you wanted to mention?
Well, one thing I wanted to tell you, and I don't care if everybody hears it, I canceled my surgery for next week where they were going to fix my stump. Reason doing was this, all this COVID nonsense. As you know, the surgery's been scheduled 6 or 7 times. One time I was actually on the operating table when they canceled it because they couldn't find my COVID test. So this week, Lori and I talked. They were demanding I come up there, stay overnight the night before to make sure I got my COVID test.
Yeah, what's wrong with this plan?
I told them, forget it.
Why?
I've learned to live with one leg. It's just not worth complying.
Why? Well, why the hell can't you stay one night? What's that deal? I think they give you
Just-
3 squares.
Just don't want to comply, Rick.
Oh, geez. All right. Was there one other subject you wanted to deal with, or
Well,
is that
the, we actually covered it with the CDBC thing,
oh,
CBDC. Yeah. But, but for a different reason, I was going to mention basically the same thing. During this collapse, it appears to me with the current bond rate, and it's going up again today. Right now, 3.46.
yeah,
Keeps going up.
It was like 3.4 flat or 3.41 yesterday. Yeah, that in itself. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not an economist. Although, frankly, they can't find their butt with both hands at high noon. But
Well, you do play
you know
one
the
on
old
the
saying: if you
radio.
took all the economists, oh yeah, well, that's the safest way to do it. If you took all the economists on Earth and put them end to end, they would point in different directions anyway.
Oh yeah.
So the but your CBDC, I mean, if if you're worried about the surveillance aspect of it, spend it on food at Walmart, and that way they'll get what they want, and so will you.
That was interesting.
That's R2D2. That's they're just telling me that they want to come around and screw around at my house. That's what they're telling me.
Well, you've got multiple firearms. You know how to deal with this.
Yeah, I doubt I'll walk away from that one, but
In your own house?
I am getting well. It's not completely brick. Only part of it is. So do you want to try a prayer? How do you feel about this?
Absolutely. Go for it, buddy.
Send up a prayer to the man upstairs. No
Please.
sheep left behind today. Yeah. Holy Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And to thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine power of God, cast into hell Satan and all of the other evil spirits who wander through the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
Amen, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back again. Just not exactly sure when, but it'll be as soon as we can do it. So hope everybody stays safe. We're praying for you, so you pray for us too, please. All right, folks, have a good one. Bye-bye.